Hey everybody, this is Rydo, and we are looking at today TIE Fighter X-Wing Alliance, although I guess it's just called X-Wing Alliance. So this is the final game in the X-Wing series, as far as I can tell, from 1999, so it is basically 20 years old. So all the Star Wars games, for the most part, with the exception of the EA games, which are Battlefront, have been canceled and forgotten about. Now, I just looked at the compilation version of X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, I believe was the name of the 1997 game. That was really focused on multiplayer, and they didn't even have a single player until they added the expansion, so that's why I only chose to look at the compilation. This one has a little bit more of a chance of being of interest to me, although, in all honesty, I'm probably just the wrong crowd. This looks a little bit better. It seems like it's a generation ahead in technology. It seems like it might be visually acceptable. We're back to voice acting, and those 3D models look way better than anything we've seen before this. And this is a lot of voice acting. This isn't just a talky CD-ROM that has 2 or 3 lines of dialogue. That ship looks weird. So, what I'm looking for here is a story to bring me along while doing the flying around space shooting gameplay. And I'd like to see some variety in the flying around space shooting gameplay too. So, ideally, I would like to see us maybe start in space, and then halfway through the mission be told to go into the atmosphere of a planet.
Losing coolant pressure in the primary tank. You want me to see what I can do? I think we're fine for the moment.
This looks like a smaller version of the Millennium Falcon.
Interesting idea. Gonna be there? He's gonna say I told you not to get involved with the rebels. Yeah, well, I'd rather put up with that than risk trying to get all the way home with this damage. It's your call.
So, this time, it seems like you're going to be playing as this kid who's going to be joining the rebels.
You didn't actually contact the rebels, did you? Everything was just fine until an Imperial fleet showed up. How quickly do you think you could patch up my primary tank?
See, this might be a step back in story, though. You may never get to the point where you're flying the Empire's ships.
Well, yes.
That's a lot of ships on screen.
Yes. You're being followed, aren't you?
Blast your idealism! I told you this would happen. As if the Imperial authorities aren't already difficult enough.
Now, Anton, I took precautions, and I know we weren't ID'd. Look, the sooner we get out of here, the better for all of us, right? No way. That's Bantha's view and you know it.
You can make it home just fine the way you are. You must leave immediately before I report you myself.
Why, you... Are you refusing to help me out? You're damn straight. I told you we can't afford to get mixed up in this rebellion. We've worked too hard and have too much to lose. Maybe this will make you understand. We'll talk about this after you get home. Twin Sun platform out.
So he totally refused his brother. If the son is saying uncle. There's some more non-canon Corellian freighters, aka Millennium Falcons. These graphics look good. They're not great. They're 20 years old, of course, but they don't look bad at all. This is playable. I've played older games that looked worse than this. But it really hasn't been a problem with the graphics for this series, really, for any of the games, particularly since there's so many different versions you get You get the basic version, the original versions, and then the CD-ROM collections, and the remastered versions. There's a version to keep you at least moderately satisfied, but the problem is the gameplay and the level design and the storytelling.
Come on board. I have much to tell you.
Alright, so you've got this, what looks like a droid that you never see. So this is a droid that looks nothing like what an R2-D2 droid should look like, and that's what I suspect this should have been. I went into the options here just by hitting escape, and let's just take a little quick journey through the options here. I know that was a long loading. So you have general options. I've turned it down to easy, and I haven't changed anything else, and the audio I've done outside, so nothing there really needs to change. Here you could see the level of how old this game is. You could play it for a Pentium 2 with 32 megs of RAM. Graphic detail will be turned to low levels. Here you could play it for below a Pentium 2 with 64 megs of RAM, or you can play it at level 3, a Pentium 2 333 and above with 64 megs of RAM. Graphics detail galore, all voices played and music turned on. Some critical voices will be played on level 2. There's no reason why any modern computer would not be able to play this at level 3, obviously. But that is an interesting nostalgic look back to the world people were living in back in PC gaming. And that certainly explains why consoles were the big deal for such a long time. Like, they could guarantee that a game would play and look the way it should look, and you wouldn't run into a lot of problems. And since this is now using DirectX of some sort, I don't know if it was DirectX 8 or DirectX 9 or what, I doubt it was anything newer, it is pulling directly from the video card its descriptor, so it's telling the actual accurate video card. There's no emulator going in between this. My video card that I'm using right now is a GeForce GTX 970. It is giving us 800 by 600, which is better than 640 by 480. And there's everything is just by default for the most part at high and turned on. I wouldn't want to change any of this because there is a chance it might crash if you tried to say hardware only video options and adjust those. Multiplayer video options would not need to be any different by today's days. Controller options, we could try to remap the joystick buttons, but it would be a mess. It's still partial controller support by my standards. You have to remember, this is clearly a game series that was designed to be played with a HOTAS, heads-up display and all kinds of buttons and throttles and analog controls and buttons and switches. Something that would probably cost at least $1,000 to play flying simulators. That's not what a default joystick is by people's standards today. A default joystick would be the PS4 controller, the Xbox controller, and those buttons are just not mapped to adjust that. You could look at the credits here, and it's just going to scroll here and play a little bit of music, and you can view the cutscenes once you unlock them, so we could go back and look at that. But I actually want to jump into a game. It's still maintaining the general idea. There's a metal case here. You can see 3, 6, 7, 8 medals, so that implies to me that there's probably 8 or more missions. There was no expansion ever released for this, and there's kind of no TIE fighter equivalent for this. So I imagine what happened is people just grew out of wanting to play this style of game. Here's your pilot statistics. Let's see what we can see here. Tour of duty record is what we're on. Azaman mission record, so maybe at that point you split. Combat simulator record. And then you have email. Let's see. So you have an Aaron spelled A-E-R-O-N. Let's see. We have all kinds of emails, which email is not a thing in Star Wars. So it's just out of canon again. Here's how you know emails are not a thing in Star Wars. Nobody ever uses, sends, or reads one. And in episode 4, when you have an R2-D2 unit transporting a message via hologram, you know that the email, if it did exist, has long since been replaced. There's combat simulator. Now the problem with level design like this is that there might be something that I can click on here that I have no idea. So I'm left hunting and pecking, like pixel hunting, to see if there's anything else to click on. It doesn't seem like there is. So let's see what the combat simulator looks like. Well, inside the combat simulator we have a film room. So they bring back films. I'm not sure there were films in X-Wing versus TIE Fighter, and everything looks like it's the same concept of the previous games, just done differently to make it a little bit more confusing. Single player here. Let's see what this does. What are our options? Let's see. We have a unrated test and a player 2 Ace AI, and let's see, this will actually craft selection on, number of teams 2, deep space, asteroid field, minefield, deep space are the 3 options. And see, this is what I would have wanted to see improved, is I don't want to fly around in either deep space or an asteroid field or a minefield, although asteroid field and minefield do make a little bit more sense. This starts at a 10-minute time limit, which is too long, and every one of these missions does seem like it is really designed to make things really, really long. So you can load and save some precepts. We could do tour of duty or quick skirmish. New skirmish mission. What's funny here is, why are there just not like, why are there not more of this going on? Like, why is it not loading the other missions from the previous games, even though they weren't that good? So this would just clear out everything. Let's see. Back to family transport.
Looks like your dad is going to give us a shot at flying for
Yeah.
real after all. Aaron is going to test us out.
At this point,
Not blow our big chance. Ace, I've got Aaron's
I guess on Steam you would buy a bundle and you'd get all the X-Wing games anyways, but it's still totally possible to just buy one of these. It feels like X-Wing Alliance should have the ability to play the old missions as some kind of remaster. They should have just kept on iterating that. It would have been a much better offering. But I guess it doesn't really matter because it's just more redundancy. Let's actually jump in here and let's try a mission. Last time we tried one, we actually succeeded, which I'm surprised in.
Simulator games that Dad is convinced it's time to put you to work. He asked me to take you on a delivery run to Harlequin Station. We've got a couple of cargo canisters to transport there, and they have some supplies we'll be picking up to bring back. We'll be using the YT-1300s. I'm taking the Thilu. You can fly the Sabra. MK will accompany you as your co-pilot. All you have to do is follow me and do what I do. We're picking up fuel cells and coolant. Dad was pretty emphatic about not forgetting the coolant. It's for the Otana. If everything goes smoothly, you'll be working solo in no time.
So Aaron,
You will fly the
I
South,
thought was your
one of our
brother,
family's
but
modified
apparently it's a
Corellian
sister.
YT-1300 transports. Aaron will fly an identical ship, the Cedar. Each of you is to pick up a cargo canister of supplies.
So I guess we have some tractor beams.
The cargo canisters are to be delivered to Harlequin Station. There you will pick up some fuel cells, while Aaron picks up a container of coolant.
Okay.
These supplies are to be brought back to Azamine home base. I will be your co-pilot, and Aaron will be in overall command.
This is really what you needed in all the games, though, is you needed a robot that would just,
One of our family's modified Corellian YT-1300
like, you needed something that would just tell you exactly.
Each of you is to pick up a cargo canister.
I think we're going in circles at this point. Can I just hit A to start? No. The joystick does not work in the menu.
Pick up some fuel cells, while Aaron picks up a container of these supplies are to be brought back to Azamine home base.
So I guess 2 hangar means we're going forward. And this is the exact same thing. Alright, use the cursor keys to navigate the menu. So let's see if space launches. Hey. So this was my complaint in the last game, is that the hardest part of...
I'll take the one on the right, and you take the one on the left.
The hardest part...
Press T to target the first cargo canister.
Let's see.
Go down to a crawl as you come in above it.
Alright. Throttle set.
Initiate automatic pickup. When you are within .2 clicks, you have destroyed a friendly craft. Report on primary target. They have been destroyed.
I'm really disappointed. You seem so sure of yourself.
You have attacked a friendly craft.
I guess you'll have to spend some more time in the trainer.
Keep your attack once or you will be fired upon. Aaron said she was trying to get that one. I'm taking serious damage.
Oh, I screwed this up, so we might as well just join the Empire. So...
They are under attack.
Yeah, so immediately I screwed that up. And inherently that's the problem with this game, is that I needed a breadcrumb to tell me how to move. I needed to be told which button to press to slow down. There's just a lot here. And I guess if you're just close enough and you hit spacebar, you'll land. But and is that the end of the mission? Or are we gonna start over? We don't get any cutscenes showing the people, though. It kind of is a little too droid heavy in this. So it in no way gave me enough time. That's the problem. And so let's see, H or Q. Let's try that again. So failed mission score -320, total kills 0, assists 0. Let's see if we can get some mission hints. Like, it seems like it would have worked if I was just not moving so fast. But it does. It says use the cursor keys to navigate the menu and hit enter. I don't see
I'm going to pick up the cargo canisters right in front of us. I'll take the one on the right, and you take the one on the left. Press T to target the first cargo canister.
There we go. Targeted.
Down to a crawl as you come in above it.
I'm gonna hit enter this time. And that's...
Initiate automatic pickup. Shift P. When you are within .2 clicks.
So...
Report on primary target. Your shields are up. I've destroyed a friendly craft.
Let's see, and I guess I can launch again, but if I launch from this point, am I...
We're going to pick up the cargo canisters.
I guess you can just use the
I'll
mission.
take the one on the right, and you take the one on the left.
Alright, Y
Press T to
changes
target
the
the first
camera
cargo
a
canister.
little bit. X
Go down to
does
a crawl and
nothing.
you come in above it.
Alright.
Initiate automatic pickup. Shift E. When you are within 0.2 clicks.
Alright. See, you need a little retro boosters. Here. Like, I think I am way closer than I need to be for this. I'm supposed to hit G. That's gunner and laser mode now. That's cockpit. Let's hit with W and E and then R and then T. And then Y. And then U. Let's see. Am I supposed to click with the mouse? That doesn't make sense. Right stick.
Report on primary target. Your shields are up. You have destroyed a friendly craft. Report on primary target. They have been destroyed.
Mission.
I'm really disappointed. You seem so sure of yourself. I guess you'll have to
Shields
spend some more
fully
time in the
aft.
trainer.
Some of these keys are different. Some of these keys are the same. And they're doing a cool thing here where they're changing
We're going to pick
the
up the cargo
camera,
canisters right in front of us.
but
I'll take the one on the
Let's
right,
see.
and you take the one on the left. Press T to target the first cargo canister.
I'm
Go
locked
down to a
on.
crawl and you come in above it.
Come in above it. So that's the thing.
Initiate automatic pickup. Shift E. When you are within 0.2 clicks.
Alright. So am I good enough? Did I get it? Did I pick it up? Man, you really have to turn around. Like, I'm just trying to move a little bit fast. I don't think it's a button. I think it's just ridiculous.
We're going to pick up the cargo canisters right in front
And
of us.
this in no way feels like the controllers are too sensitive, and that's the problem.
Press T to target the first cargo
It
canister.
just feels like the game is
Go down to a
asking
crawl and you
something
come in above it.
insane.
Initiate automatic pickup. Shift E. When you are within 0.2 clicks.
So, is it saying Shift P? Oh, so you have to really listen, so the music is just getting in the way. Alright.
Great. Now target the nav buoy and key and head toward it. Once you're within 0.5 clicks of the buoy, we can make the jump.
So, Aaron, your friend Olin hasn't been around lately.
So it's taken me...
I didn't want to say, but he's joined the rebellion as a pilot.
Really? Wow. We should do that. I bet one of us could be the next Luke Skywalker.
Who?
You know, the guy in the bootleg holo Olin showed us. The guy who took out the Death Star at Yavin.
Well, I hate to rain on your parade, MK, but I don't think the Alliance is accepting droids as pilots.
Let's see, press space to...
Hit the spacebar to initiate the hyperdrive.
Okay. You kind of had to go past it. That's a nice effect. Although this very possibly would cause seizures for some people.
Here we are at Harlequin Station. Let's
But it's
deliver
taken me
supplies.
24 minutes to get to this
Passenger
point.
Transports, thanks for the quick service. Please deliver the cargo canisters to the docking platform.
Just watch where Silu drops her canister, Then do the same. For delivery, you must engage the auto-ducking procedure.
Okay, how do I do that? Alright, so do I just...
Approach
I guess...
to within 1 click of the station and press Shift D.
Now drop XI-1 next to XI-2 and we'll get what we came for.
Did I do it? Let's see. Alright, I'm trying to not destroy things while also trying not to go the wrong direction, while also trying not to... Right. I'm hitting Shift P. Alright. Already carrying an object. Maybe he said Shift D? Yes, he said Shift D as in dog. Well, the problem here is the audio is just really messed up. Okay. Now what?
Incoming vessels are on an attack vector.
It looks like these newcomers mean trouble.
System patrol craft Cord is abandoning us. They must have been bought off. As a transport, we request your assistance.
Harlequin Station, what can we do?
These Varaxo have been threatening us for a while. I didn't think they had the guts to try something like this. I am sure they were not expecting a fight. If you move to intercept, they'll probably back off.
They have activated their weapon targeting systems.
I'm not sure we should get involved.
I say we fight. We can run rings around any Varaxo.
I'm breaking up! Dad's been trying to reach an understanding with the Varaxo.
Someone needs to tell the Varaxo then. They are attacking us.
I'm really disappointed. You seem so sure of yourself. I guess you'll have to spend some more time in the trainer. All right, I'm convinced. Let's teach him some manners.
Apparently I just failed something.
This is a private matter you do well to stay out of.
So we supposed, like, I don't know where these ships are. Like, I'm flying around and barely moving as well as I think I was before. Let's get into a real fight and see how this works. Again, this is a case. This is a case where. This is a case where you're definitely spending way too many shots to destroy something, and a more modern version of this game would totally have it be a case of let's see, primary target. See if we can pick up this cargo. There'd be 2-3 times as many enemies on the screen to start off with. Even in the first level, it would be way easier to kill things in one shot. You'd be fighting really simplistic, like cannon fodder style enemies, and you just don't have that. Instead, because of the limitations of the PCs that we're running on this, you're barely getting 4 or 5 things on screen, and X-Wing 1, it looked like there was basically nothing on screen. That was what I left. So let's see if we can grab the thing we're looking for. Like, I guess I could just hit G, no. O for objectives? Perhaps? Supposed to pick up one of these. There we go. So Shift P. And we can't take them all. So unless I'm supposed to now fly forward and then try Shift P again. already carrying an object. So then we're looking for, there's some neutral cargo, primary target. Yeah, I don't think we're getting a I think we're getting a hyper beacon out of this. And it seems like my sister, cousin, whoever Aaron was, which maybe would get some more story, seems like she's gone. Like, I'm cycling through all the targets and I don't see anything. So H would be the hit restart the mission, and Q, let's see, Q is press space to end the mission. Alright. So yeah, 30 minutes, 25 minutes to figure out what the robot that was supposed to be telling me what to do was actually saying, just because of the music playing so loud and having to hit Shift and P to pick something up seems ridiculous. Like, totally insane. There's no reason why it needs to be that way. There's plenty of keys on the keyboard, if I am going to have to use the keyboard, that aren't being used. Or at least not for that first level. And you'd think something as simple as docking and picking up something would be dedicated to a single key. And then after 25 minutes of finally figuring out how to pick up the cargo and jumping the hyperspace, we immediately, I think, blew up Aaron and lost the level. That's what I think happened, as best as I can tell. Like, this player statistics not really helping in any way whatsoever. So let's just go back to the main menu.
Looks like your dad is going to give us a shot at flying for real.
No medals. Seems like the robot is going to push us to do to join the rebellion instead of being like a C-3PO style character. It seems like your name is just Test as the character. Like, it didn't ask me to type in any kind of name or anything. Yeah, she's your sister. Hey, little brother. Alright, we figured out who Aaron is, this disembodied voice. Honestly, I felt like the TIE Fighter Special Edition levels were better than this. This looks better. It has us doing slightly different things, but the controls are still all over the place. They're terrible. I would have preferred really to go through a 15-minute training session that was just forced down my throat. Now, to be fair, maybe in the combat simulator somewhere there is a tutorial training section. I didn't really see it though. Like, single player, when you click on single player, there's nothing here that's just about. Yeah, there's kind of nothing here that says anything about a tutorial mission or anything like that. So that seems crazy, and I don't know what these tour of duties would be at all.
Great news.
So
like
yeah,
your dad is going to give us a shot at
there's like no tutorial here.
Aaron is going to test
Nothing that would really help you. That first mission is supposed to be the tutorial, and it just does not work. Remember, this also would be a lot worse for people playing on level 1, where graphics are turned down to low levels and non-critical voices are turned off and music in flight is turned off. Although maybe that's how they tested the game, and that's why they didn't come to recognize that the music is way too loud. And yeah, you can adjust that. Like, it clearly needs to be adjusted a lot more than what it is. All of the X-Wings games up to this point have really been like this, where the audio is just all over the place and way too loud, and it makes me feel like I really didn't do a great job on balancing the audio, but I really tried. Like, there's a lot of extra work I had to do to get each one of these episodes recorded, just to try to make it somewhat playable and viewable. But at the end, now, this is, I think, the last Star Wars games I want to play this year. There is one pod racing game that was not on Steam that got added to Steam, that I don't own. So by next year, during May the 4th be with you, maybe I'll play that. And then there's some real-time strategy top-down games that I didn't cover, and there's Knights of KOTOR, which is the big one, certainly, for the Star Wars games that I didn't cover. But we did cover all of the Dark Origins, Jedi Knight series of games, the 2 original Battlefront games, so the on-rail shooter Rebel Assault games, and now we've looked at basically every version and every iteration of X-Wing, and they're just not the kind of games I want to play. Most notably because you're not really dealing with Jedi, and Star Wars is nothing without the Jedi. There possibly was a point between Episode 4 and Episode 5, or Episode 5 and Episode 6, that you could have Star Wars movies that weren't heavily centered around Jedis, or had no real talk of Jedis. But in 2019, Jedis are everything. You can have other characters, they don't all have to be Jedis, but you really can't have a game where you're not at least doing something around that. Like, even if I was playing as a smuggler smuggling information for the Jedi, I would be a lot happier in the X-Wing series in particular than just playing as random people or random starfighters. The dogfighting in the Star Wars movies, Episode 4, definitely good, certainly, because George Lucas stole those almost shot for shot from other World War II films. So yeah, the dogfighting was good because he was heavily inspired / stole from them from better sources. But it's not what I come to Star Wars for. It's not the power of fantasy that I would want fulfilled. It is fair, I suppose, to say that I imagine the X-Wing series is probably more realistic, for whatever that means in a fictional universe, than what you would do playing EA's Battlefront 2 whenever you got a ship. That being said, I bet it's way more fun to fly around a TIE fighter or an X-Wing ship in Battlefront 2 than it is or has been to play any of these games, because I bet it's fast and really tight controls, and I bet a lot of things just happen automatically, which really should happen automatically. This is a universe with sentient AI droids and computers galore, so why in the world do these ships not have basic things that existed on airplanes when this came out? Like fighter jets from 1999 in the real world would have been more complicated than what we're given to fly in these Star Wars games. Like I said, I didn't think I was the target audience for this. I'm not sure there really is a target audience for this. It's questionable, certainly, if there aren't just a few, maybe 10 to 100,000 whales out there that still like to play flight simulator games, and they certainly get ripped off every time there's a new Microsoft Flight Simulator or a similar game, and they'll pay $200 or $300 in DLC to do that. But I think the vast majority of gamers would never really want to touch a game like this. This game feels 20 years old, Not for the graphics, not for the audio, but for just a lack of understanding how easy video games have gotten and how easy they're expected to be now. Like, this is just not easy enough, even on the easy difficulty. It's just, games have gotten dumbed down, and that means they've become more accessible, and that means more people are playing them, and that means they've gotten better because more people are paying them and more money comes in, and you could fund something like this. It's kind of a shame, as I wrap up the Star Wars month here, that that Disney, which is all about trying to sell their brands to everyone, everywhere, has decided to not really try and sell Star Wars in video game form. Or, in fact, Disney hasn't really tried to sell much of their brands in video game form. They just kind of license it out to the lowest bidder, and that's why there's a whole collection of terrible Disney games, both on PC and consoles and on mobile now. Yeah, it's kind of surprising nobody's thought about doing a VR version of X-Wing. That would make a lot of sense. Like, put on those virtual reality headsets and shoot in a 3D environment. That would be cool. But would it really sell anymore? No, not really. You could have in a more single-player action-centric game, maybe sections where you fly around the spaceship, but it would have to be so dumbed down that everybody could do it, because nobody wants to run into a situation where you're 5 levels into a game and then all of a sudden the gameplay changes drastically and it's impossible to play that different style of level. Anyways, I feel like I'm kind of just rambling on at this point. Yep. That's all the Star Wars games that I don't really want to play. Probably next year we'll have a small collection of other Star Wars games that I probably didn't want to play either. And then I'm sure, unless they make something new, then I'll probably be done with Star Wars games and done with Star Wars in general. Like, and I probably won't be too alone with that. And then I guess you have to say also, pour one out for 1313 and all the single-player Star Wars games that were in development over the decades and got canceled. All the games that sounded really good. I think Floor 1313 sounded really good for what it was sounded like it was going to be, and regardless of the fact that it was a Star Wars game. But it got canceled. So that's it for the spotlight. I hope some of this had some relevancy and helped some people. And I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know and I'm just ignorant of. Like, I'm sure there's a lot of people out there that have great nostalgia for this. I'm just not one of them. Anyways, that's it for this recording. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos. If you want a friend or follow me on any social media sites, there's a bunch of links down below in the description box. And if you want to support me even further, there's a link to Patreon, or you can friend me on Steam and gift me a game off my wish list. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.